Hello and welcome back to Robbie's Arcade. Well, we looked at Golden Axe 1, the arcade game. This game came out 3 years later and so much has changed. You are looking at Golden Axe, the Revenge of Death Adder. Now this has improved visuals, and earlier on in that previous video I talked about how in many respects Golden Axe was let down by the technology of its time. When it had been released, a lot of the innovations and features and a lot of other walk-along beat-em-ups that made it look a little dated arrived, within 12 months, even 18 months of its release, and it almost seemed unfair that this great AAA title suffered at the hands of technology and, the gaming industry itself not developing quick enough. But after that, it did well enough to warrant Golden Axe 2, and then Golden Axe Revenge of Death Adder. I believe this comes out before 3. Now, this game was released around 3 years after the original, and so much has changed visually. I mean, Christ, that thing on screen just there was mental. Now, once again, this was a Sega game, but it wasn't using the 16B system. Now they had moved over to AM1. Of course, their AM2 series was more predominantly known for 3D games, whereas AM1 was this wonderfully beautiful colour selection and fast FPS, or everything you want from a modern game. Now, as an arcade game, this still lacked, probably for me, the most important feature when it comes to a walk-along beat-em-up. You still couldn't see the energy of your enemies, but they took a leaf out of Konami's book. Look at the top. It's a 4-player co-op game. Love 4-player co-ops, but they tried to bring some 3D in. Look at like this bonus stage or whatever it is. This is incredible. But without further ado, let's get into the game, shall we? So, we're going to go like we did before with the character Stern. There are other characters they introduced into this, such as the big brute guy with the guy on his shoulders. But once again, the general plot of the game is about Death Adder wreaking havoc, but this time he's the one doing it for the sake of revenge against the posse from Golden Axe. Now, new gameplay mechanics were introduced. It's still a 3-button control system, but with an improved attitude towards magic. There was improved magic capabilities of the characters, as well as that great system I talked about before, whereby you can actually save your magic for an even more powerful use later on. Now, they kept, as I can see, the kind of hollowed out defeated enemy motif of the previous game, but graphically this game is so much better. The enemies themselves seemingly have a much better move set as well. They kept along with the characters here, the walk-along characters, which is pretty fantastic indeed. Let's hope the hit detection has improved though, because it was pretty poor in the previous game. Oh no, I got pushed off. Oh no, we've got to be quicker than that, Rob. Even the lizard has a running animation, luckily. That's almost wasteful, given that I haven't used any of my magic, that I'm collecting these vials for more magic. But luckily, that means I can still utilise more than one. So again, they introduced this new dynamic of having a much more improved control of the magic system. Oh no. Oh no, we gone for a Burton there. Probably one of the main things this game is remembered for, by the way, is this. The animation that you would set fire to everyone on screen. Sadly, what we didn't see there was the animation of setting fire to people's faces, weirdly. Now, the boss has an energy bar, so clearly that has been made with the idea that people want to know how well they're doing or how much damage they're performing. But it still smacks of laziness that this game doesn't provide energy bars of the adversaries. It's not like that information doesn't exist. Of course it exists. Else how would enemies know their vitality, and therefore the system know that when you've defeated someone? Oh, that kick animation's getting real old real quick. Let's have a look. Weird fairy tale music there. Quite strange. Okay, that wall seems largely pointless. The game has improved, there's no denying it. The gameplay plays much faster than the original. But that said, there still seems to be gaps in the innovation department that could still serve to be there. Oh, we have some more magic, lovely. And apparently I'm allowed to walk over a fire. Okay, do you know what? I think it's time for that magic. Isn't that absolutely monstrous? Oh, but I was able to struck an arrow out of the air, so it's not all bad. This game is definitely a faster paced and more playable game than the original. I just wish we could see the enemy's energy bars. And we freed the lovely women up there. There you go, lovely women. How terribly sexist. This isn't the 70s, Rob. That felt like more work trying to chase those that time. Do we have a boss? Apparently we don't have the magic. Here's hoping me and this guy can do some serious damage. Oh no, apparently the game wouldn't have been that stupid to let me do that. Oh no. The game certainly feels less cheap than the original. There is an element of skill to this. Ooh, savage. I'm not sure why that blanket suddenly appeared. And there we go, we're up. Whoa, impressive 3D graphics. I say that, 2D sprite over a 3D animation. Okay, we're on to level 2, and with that, let's talk trivia. Because of course, Golden Axe is one of those series, although largely overlooked. Again, do check out my previous video on the first Golden Axe. It is a hugely overlooked franchise that people know about, but haven't released a game in almost 10 years. Now, Golden Axe: The Revenge of Death Adder was released in 1992, once again by Sega using their AM1 board. There's so many little quirks and features in the game they included because they knew the game had a cult following. They knew people were interested. For example, in the background of the game, you can actually find the stats of Death Adder, his his weight, height, all the rest of it. He weighs in he's a male, height of 8 feet and 8.2 feet, as well as a weight of 667 pounds. This was something that was ported over along with a lot of other information in the awful Golden Axe one-on-one beat-em-up game. Now, the game is actually surprisingly easy, most people think, compared with the other previous Golden Axe games. Even if you put the game on the hardest setting, most people think it matches up with standard mode of the original Golden Axe. Now, whether that's to do with hit detection or the subset of moves being far more limited in the first one, who knows, but it is pretty much a common held opinion that this is a very easy game. One big flaw of the game people go on about, which is a strange thing to complain about, is the game is too long. Which I know sounds really, really silly, but it's true. There are only a handful of bosses in the game, less than 4. And you fight the same bosses over and over again. They just change the palette and give them one extra move each, a magic move. There's only one boss that's particularly in any way interesting, and it's a kind of armoured scarecrow with a scythe. But once again, that gets really, really repetitive. Likewise, this is an arcade game to feed in coins. It must have cost a fortune to get to the end of this incredibly long game. For example, we finished the first level in the same time in the previous video that we got to the 4th stage. And that is something that only gets longer, harder, and unfortunately more tedious. Now, the Death Adder game was never ported outside of the arcades, even though it's held in quite high regard due to its the graphics. It was the first one that really did to go the extra mile on the graphics department. It never left the arcades, unlike every other Golden Axe game that has featured on multiple consoles. This is the only Golden Axe game that has never left the arcades. It's never been ported to a Sega or a SNES or anything like that. Now, the other thing we've already I touched on earlier on with regards to the magic. Now, as you continue through the game, you can activate different magics based on the level and severity you want to use them. Whereas in most games, and I do include the original Golden Axe, had that magic potion where you'd press the button, and because different characters had different magic, you would press the magic button and it would perform a spell. But with this arcade, the harder and longer you pressed the magic button, the more severe the magic. So if you had, in my case, 9 potions, you wouldn't have to use them all up in one go. You could just tap it and have a smaller burst of magic rather than the giant big one. So it's quite nice to have people, give people the option of not just throwing away these collectibles. Different styles of play could be adopted. And lastly, the game got in quite a little bit of trouble and heat over that animation you saw about the face being melted. That gets referenced a lot. And the only other game that I've seen that have an animation like that around this era was, of course, Metal Slug. But let's make our way back into the game. So now we have multiple paths. Don't know about you, I'm thinking cave. I don't know what that is, but I'm sure it wants to eat me. I think it's strange that the statues are knocking around here. Oh, or in the dark. That's a nice touch. That was a savage touch. There you go, some magic, thanks a lot. Oh wow. Let's listen to that sound effect. How out of kilter does that sound? All the other music is, you know, the sort of music we expect from that time period, but that little tap. Oh no, it's too late now. He's had his chance to run away. Sorry, that was a very strange thing. It just sounded very out of kilter, that tap. This is where magic would be very helpful. Unfortunately, I'm not able to perform magic. I don't have enough vials. I think we might be seeing the end of our hero soon at this rate. Oh. Grab that chain there. I believe we are ready for some serious magic. Boom. Romeo done. Okay, strange tree enemies. A loaf of bread. Nice. This has got a novel idea with the graphics there, I've got to say. Oh, here's that bit from the beginning. I don't think they took advantage of that section enough, to be honest. Oh, I think we're looking at a boss. Or it might not be. Possibly some poisonous gentleman, who knows. Did they give knives to the trees? That is a... Again, I'm no, you know, professional designer here, but that's strange. Also, is that a stick of TNT in their hands? Oh, no. See if I can make it past this small forest of enemies. Oh, we're getting close. Nice. Still not looking great. Look at that energy bar. Thought I'd get that magic out, but didn't. Oh, well, there you go. That was Golden Axe Revenge of Death Adder. Thanks so much for watching. If you've got any other recommendations of games that you want to see on the channel, do pop it down there in the comments. We can see what the game over screen for this game looks like. But thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe. There was the Golden Axe. It's just letting me know what I collected. I liked that about the original game. Nice score type system here. Wow. The game was impressed with me. I'm popping that on the CV. Thanks for watching.